Guys, I wanted to go out there and make this particular video because the Montreal Canadiens are down 3-1 in their 2025 first round series against the Washington Capitals. And I know you might be thinking to yourself, Lego, why the hell do you sound so upbeat? It's terrible news. 3-1. They lost yesterday. They blew the lead. They crumbled down. The Montreal Canadiens had a chance to win, and they didn't. Why do you sound so happy, Lego? Well, firstly, it's not really happiness, but it's more like a contained excitement, because I do think that a lot of what we've been discussing over the past few days does need to be readdressed. That, hey, the Habs are playing with house money. It's good that they made the playoffs. That in and of itself is a win. Whether they win or lose or get eliminated or go further, that doesn't matter. They had a successful season. That's it. But also, there are a number of talking points that bring themselves up after the Game 4 that we saw yesterday. And I wanted to dive into some of these thoughts in this video, starting out with the score itself. 3-1. You know how everybody's been talking about the most prominent series that the Habs had against the Washington Capitals 15 years ago, also in the first round, and a series where one very particular European goaltender stood on his head and allowed the Canadiens to win the series in totality. Of course, you know it's Jaroslav Halak. And I wanted to correct myself because in a prior video, I did try to make that comparison that everybody was talking about. Oh yeah, Halak and Jakub Dobes in 2025. Two Czech goaltenders. And I really fumbled the ball there because while it is true that the current Canadian starting goaltender, Jakub Dobes, is Czech, I kind of got my Europeans mixed up because Jaro Halak is not Czech, he is Slovak, and that is definitely my bad, so I wanted to say that. But in the 2010 Stanley Cup Playoff Series, in the first round between the Habs and the Washington Capitals, you will see that the Montreal Canadiens were indeed down 3-1 in that series. They also did not have home ice advantage. That belonged to Washington. And the Canadiens were the 8th seed. So, kind of a nice mirror on how things are going this year. Number 1 in the East, Washington, versus number 8 in the East, Montreal. The Habs that inevitably had themselves 3 straight victories, winning 2-1 in Game 5, 4-1 in Game 6, and then inevitably 2-1 in Game number 7. With Jaroslav Halak posting up 3 straight 1-goal against games. He had 37 saves in Game number 5, 53 saves in Game number 6, and he had 41 saves in Game 7. What the hell was Jaroslav Halak on, man? What a guy! Carey Price did have some playing time in this series, but unfortunately he did not end up winning any of the games here for Montreal. Jaro Halak, though, was an absolute freak of nature in that playoff run. He finished things off with a .923 save percentage in 18 games in that run, with a good chunk of the games towards the end there contributing to the save percentage not being as high as it probably should have been. But in the conference finals, this is where the Philadelphia Flyers just started to score a whole bunch of goals, and that's where Jaro Halak started to let in 2-3 goals against a game. It wasn't great. The Habs got shut out twice in the opening 2 games of that series too, so not really the best showcase. We don't want to see the Canadiens lose 4-1 to Philadelphia and relive that moment, but still, Halak went beast mode, and ultimately, because this was a situation where you had Halak and you had Price, and there was this entire battle going on as to whom it was was good enough to be the starter. They were splitting the load pretty much in that time frame. Halak had the hot hand heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that is why he ultimately got the majority of the starts. Carey Price didn't really look all too great either. The Habs, however, we all know the story. They stuck around with Carey Price. He became the guy long term, and Jaro Halak was sent over to the St. Louis Blues in a trade. But never mind that. Jaro Halak going absolute superhuman on Washington whilst playing on the 8th-seeded team after being down 3-1 at the start of the series is something that I think Canadiens fans might be a little bit delusional to say that it's going to happen again definitively. Like, it's not going to happen again exactly in the way that it did. I don't foresee Jakub Dobes having 40, 50 save games to pull the Canadiens back into a comeback. Sure, if he did that, that'd be great. But come on, you can't reasonably say, yeah, I expect him to do that. No, it's probably not going to be that good. If the Canadiens end up winning games 5, 6, and inevitably 7, I don't know if Dobes is going to get 50 shots against. But if he gets like 20 and he ends up making all those saves, then okay, like, we'll work with that. What Jaro Halak did was literally superhuman levels worth of hockey goaltending prosperity. And that is ultimately an era that we are so far removed from that, you know, at this point, I guess we gotta say, hey, if there is a chance that history repeats itself, then we'll get there when we get there. But for now, the Habs have a chance. They're down 3-1, but they were down 3-1 15 years ago. They were the 8th seed against number 1 seed 15 years ago. They have a European goaltender in net like they did 15 years ago. We'll see what happens as the series continues, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this particular note. Now, I wanted to go over another aspect of the Canadiens. This was talked about in the Habs subreddit, and I thought that it was a good enough conversation that we can bring it up here. Ivan Demidov. This guy's absolutely insane. And it was talked about here by Direct Nova. When's the last time a fresh rookie has looked this NHL ready? He already looks dangerous every shift. And the top reply is, yeah, when's the last time a fresh rookie has looked this NHL ready? The last time was Lane Hudson, so you literally have to just go back as far as the start of this season. But I wanted to go out there and read this comment from Kindly Carpenter 115. It gives a pretty interesting insight as to what's going on with the Habs. It sucks that the Canadiens lost tonight, Habs in 7, but yeah, Demidov is unreal, and I can't believe our power play 1 is this good all of a sudden. These boys are going to develop so much chemistry in the years to come. Fun times. It's good to be a Habs fan. In my opinion, Glitch Chaos on YouTube says it's not too surprising. Don't get me wrong, it still is. When you think about it from a predictability standpoint, Patrik Laine was great on the power play, but then teams figured out that the game plan was to feed him for a bomb. Then it's able to be dealt with by locking him down. Compared to now, where the team is less reliant on one single shooter, and they're setting it up and getting looks from different places. Plus, with Demidov being so good at shaking defenders, you can't really anticipate the play nearly as much. And that is exactly what we had seen on the Slafkovsky goal yesterday. Ivan Demidov gets the pass from Hudson, and then he just kind of holds onto it, he spins around a little bit, goes down the boards, and then just totally squeaks free from the defensive pressure, which allows him to come in onto the side and throw the puck out in front for Slafkovsky. Beautiful play. Demidov also helped set up the Caulfield goal. He ended up getting an assist. He had 2 assists on the night. Both power play goals scored by Montreal yesterday, assisted by Demidov and Hudson. So both of these guys looking fantastic in the NHL playoffs, point production-wise. But now you're thinking about it, and it's like, hey, this is just the beginning, right? Sure, the Habs can lose Game 5 and this will all be over, but still, think about it for next season. A superstar power play of all guys under the age of 26, Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Demidov, and Hudson. These guys are all so incredibly young. And if they start developing that chemistry to the point where they can torch NHL defenses with almost every power play opportunity they have, maybe it'd be time for Matheson to be setting up Laine on that power play. Who really knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about the Jaroslav Halak comparisons that everybody's talking about. The fact that the Habs were down 3-1 15 years ago against Washington as the 8th seed and they won. And also let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Ivan Demidov and his crazy ability to open things up and move things around for the Habs power play. I hope you enjoyed this video, Zayne, and bye.